There was only one path to the front door of the dorms. Although Hee-Jae-kun appeared to not remember who she was during dinner that night, Ji still didn't want to risk bumping into him, let alone let him see her all drenched from the rain. She looked indecent as could be, so the instant Hee-Jae-kun turned around, Ji subconsciously buried her face behind the lamp-post. Hee-Jae-kun was still far away, which was why Ji dared to secretly sneak a few glances at him. Seeing that Hee-Jae-kun was drawing closer and closer, Ji was so afraid to be seen that she held her breath and didn't dare to move an inch. The sound of the rain was quite loud, so there was no way Ji could hear Hee-Jae-kun's footsteps. She estimated that it'd take just 4 to 5 minutes. Ji was certain that in 4 to 5 minutes' time, Hee-Jae-kun would have walked far enough away from her to enable her to relax, quickly escape from behind this ice-cold lamp-post, and run through the front doors to the dorm. According to her calculations, the coast should be clear now. She barely made it out when suddenly, she stopped in her tracks. She stared dumbfounded at Hee-Jae-kun just 2 meters in front of her. Hadn't he left already? A few minutes had passed. Why is he still here? Ji's eyes widened as though she'd seen a ghost. Hee-Jae-kun probably felt her staring at him, so he turned his head slightly in the direction Ji was standing. The very moment their eyes met, Ji averted her eyes downwards reflexively. From the corner of her eyes, she clearly saw the light from a call on Hee-Jae-kun's phone. So the only reason he's still here was to take a call. Before Ji could form her suspicions, she heard the cold, dull voice of Hee-Jae-kun on the phone. "What's wrong? I'll call you when I get back to talk about it." With that, Hee-Jae-kun's fingers pressed a button on phone screen and hung up. The corner of Ji's eyes then caught a glimpse of Hee-Jae-kun about to walk away. She didn't want Hee-Jae-kun to see how embarrassed she looked right now. Yet, by chance, he saw her. There was nothing she could do about that. Judging by his actions, it seemed he really did forget about her, or he just wasn't bothered to deal with her. He seemed to have no intention of saying hello. Nor did she feel the need to put up with talking to him. Ji stood rooted in her original spot for 3 seconds, then raised her legs and headed in the direction of the dorm. It was like the two of them were complete strangers as they walked different paths. It was still raining. Ji's clothes started to drip and clumps of hair stuck to her neck. Hee-Jae-kun, who was holding an umbrella, walked steadily and elegantly. Aside from the legs of his trousers being a little wet, his clothes were mostly neat and dry. The obvious difference between them made Ji lower her head even further as she walked even more quickly. Even as Ji tried her best to keep her composure, running into Hee-Jae-kun made her steps a little erratic. On top of that, she wanted to get as far away from Hee-Jae-kun as possible. It was no wonder she acted so hasty the moment they brushed shoulders. She didn't pay much attention to where she was walking, so she accidentally slipped into a puddle. Her whole body crashed to the ground. As she felt the pain, Ji's first instinct was to glance in front of her. It was just as she thought. Hee-Jae-kun, who'd brushed past her with an umbrella in his hand, heard the commotion, stopped, and turned his head towards her direction.